Light 'em up.
Good evening, everyone. My name is LiveWithDavid, and welcome to the home of Fan First Debate, Light 'em Up, live here on Colorcast. Tonight is Season 3, Episode 6, our 31st episode overall. And I want to welcome our live listening audience for tuning in. And if you haven't already, feel free to hit that share button here in the Colorcast app. Share it out to all your iOS friends and let them get here on the action. Don't hold all the fun for yourself. Let your friends come in here and have a good time on this Sunday evening, August 14th. And to my podcast listening audience, whether you're on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform, thanks for listening. Thanks for taking time out of your day, taking time out of your precious phone storage to download Light 'em Up and to give us a listen. And I would kindly encourage you to share the podcast with your friends, to give us to subscribe to us, leave us a review, leave us some comments. Let us know what you think about the show, good, bad, or otherwise. Because we're all here about Fan First Debate here at Colorcast. We want to, here at Light 'em Up, we want to provide you the best debates week in, week out, the best show week in, week out. We can't do that without your input. But we thank you all nonetheless for listening in, be it live or on the podcast. Going back to my live studio audience, I want to ask you guys to, as you're listening to tonight's show, drop in the chat your favorite one-liners that may be used as the podcast title. One of our first casters tonight, ZachCantrell, came up with the with last week's title, Reginald Alfred Bush Jr. Again, drop those one-liners in the chat and you may be used for the podcast title. So with that being said, let's get tonight's show underway. We have our traditional 3-debate slate tonight, all Light 'em Up, so all one-on-one debates. And we're starting tonight's show off with a debate on who is the worst starting quarterback of all time. Worst starting quarterback of all time between ZachCantrell and WhoDateNation. So we got both of these gentlemen already set up in here and ready to go. So let's get this started. WhoDat, welcome to Season 3. I know tonight's your debut, so let's see if we can get things started off on the right foot. And with that being said, Zach, you have the better record between you and WhoDat. So you, sir, get to decide if you want to have your first opening statement or if you want to make the first closing statement. What do you choose?
I will start it.
Okay. All right. Well, WhoDat, you can go on mute, my friend. Zach, your 2-minute opening statement starts now.
So defining the worst quarterback of all time is difficult because most tie in bad quarterbacks with draft busts, which can be similar. But just because you're a draft bust doesn't mean you're the worst quarterback ever. It's just a bigger spotlight. Worst starting quarterback in NFL history is more about who flat out stunk, regardless of expectation level. A guy who met the definition of a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad quarterback who transcended mediocrity in the National Football League is Deshone Kizer. Me, all of you listening in the audience, you, David, and yes, even you, WhoDateNation, what do we all have in common? We all have as many wins as a starting quarterback as Deshone Kizer. That's right. He didn't win a single game, so we can start there. Kizer in his career threw 11 touchdown passes and 24 interceptions, including leading the league in 2017 with 22 interceptions, and he fumbled the ball 9 times that season as well. He was so bad that not only did he heroically lead the Cleveland Browns to an 0-16 record, he also only played 3 games the rest of his career. Kizer had no feel for the game, the lowest deep ball completion percentage in the league, and regularly forced the ball into coverage. He completed 53% of his passes in a league where quarterbacks regularly complete 60 to 65% of their passes minimum. Worst of all, he was by far and away the worst red zone quarterback, where the field's compressed and the difficulty is at its highest. Kizer had more red zone turnovers than any other team had, with 10. 9.5% of his red zone plays, he turned the ball over. The highest single-season percentage in NFL history by 2%. If you did nothing but spike the ball into the ground on every single play, your passer rating would be 39.6. Deshone Kizer had 6 games with a lower passer rating than that. He even got benched 4 different games for icons such as Cody Kessler and Kevin Hogan. Not to mention, Kizer said he went out partying the night before games during his one inglorious season, showing the lack of professionalism and commitment needed to perform at the NFL level. Deshone Kizer is the worst starting quarterback in NFL history from a leadership perspective, a winning perspective, and a production perspective. In a league full of mediocre quarterbacks, Deshone Kizer set the standard for what a future bad quarterback can be. I concede the rest of my time.
All right. Thank you, Zach. You can go on mute.
Love it.
WhoDat, your 2-minute opening statement starts now.
Hi, everybody. As my opponent said, he said it best, as we all know that we have a lot of things in common as starting quarterbacks. And my pick for the worst NFL starting quarterback in NFL history is Ryan Leaf. We all know who Ryan Leaf is. If you don't know, go look him up. Former Heisman Trophy candidate, All Pac-10, first-team All-American, high ranking coming off the board in 1998, drafted by the Indianapolis Colts, as they were Manningless before Manning got drafted. and then they had to make a debate between who was going to start between Manning and Ryan Leaf. They gave Ryan Leaf a start. Ryan Leaf, yes, he didn't start many games. He played certain games, but he has the worst completion in NFL history, the worst turnover rating in NFL history. He used to go partying the same as Deshone Kizer did. He did it way much worse. As we all know, the infamous interview that he had when he got drafted from the Colts to the San Diego Chargers in '98. He went off on a reporter as the Chargers had the worst start. As we all know, they had a lot of worst starts when they were Drew Brees and Phillip Rivers, but they had the worst start in NFL history. They were like 0-8.
45 seconds.
As he went off on a specific reporter saying, knock it off. His teammates had to come in to calm him down because he didn't have the as many other quarterbacks as we have seen that has come through from 80s, 90s, 2000s, early 2000s, and later 2000s. Ryan Leaf, great quarterback in college, but the worst NFL quarterback in NFL history. He has played for 4 teams and only played a minimum of 25 games.
15 seconds.
Have the worst turnover ratio ever in NFL history. And that's my conclusion.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen, for those opening statements. You both may come off of mute. And your 10 minutes of crossfire on who is the worst starting quarterback of all time starts now. Light them up.
So Ryan Leaf was never drafted by the Indianapolis Colts. How do I know? I'm a Colts fan. We drafted Peyton Manning #1, and thank God for that, because Ryan Leaf was terrible. But let me ask you this. I'm no relationship expert, but I'm going to give you a tip anyway. When we look at the worst relationships we've ever been in, was it the relationship that was there for 4 years, or was it the relationship that we got out of pretty quickly because we realized it just simply wasn't going to work? Deshone Kizer, you could tell right away from his first day. I watched every single Browns game living in Ohio. He had no feel for the pocket. He stepped up in a clean pocket. He rolled out too often. He had no feel for the game whatsoever. Ryan Leaf, yes, he was bad, but Ryan Leaf won 4 games as a starting quarterback. Deshone Kizer had no wins as a starting quarterback. It's pretty hard to beat that when you don't have a single win in your NFL career. And Deshone Kizer, by the way, yes, he threw 22 interceptions. Ryan Leaf threw 36. But if you average Deshone Kizer with how many games that Ryan Leaf played, Deshone Kizer would have thrown 41 interceptions in his career, which is more than what Ryan Leaf threw.
That I can agree, and also you are correct. The San Diego Chargers did pick up Ryan Leaf and not the Colts, and I can actually agree. But to say this, Deshone Kizer actually had a better opportunity starting in the NFL better than Ryan Leaf. Ryan Leaf had to actually put up great numbers in college. Deshone Kizer really didn't put up great numbers at the University of Notre Dame, as we all know, as we have seen his career. Granted, he did not win not a single game in his NFL start, but and throughout his career, and his career is still not even finished yet, he still has more playing time that he have to accomplish. Yes, he have not won any games, but he hasn't got the proper opportunity to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. Yes, 4 starts he has, but he has not had the proper start as Ryan Leaf had coming straight out of college.
That's because we knew right away. We knew right away Deshone Kizer couldn't cut it. Yeah, he doesn't have as many starts because he played for 2 teams in 2 years, and they immediately were done with him. He went to Green Bay. There's a lot of great quarterbacks that have played the game that their first stop did not work. Brett Favre, chief among them. But he went to Green Bay, and there he completed less than 50% of his passes, didn't throw a single touchdown, and had 4 turnovers. And he showed very quickly. Remember, Aaron Rodgers, week 1 that year, had a nagging calf injury that he played the entire season with. You think they would have been able to turn to Deshone Kizer to rest Aaron Rodgers? They couldn't do that.
We definitely know that. And the Packers were so adamant on they didn't want to give Deshone Kizer because they felt like they felt like he wasn't ready. Honestly, I can honestly agree with their argument where Deshone Kizer can be the worst NFL quarterback, but still the guy still has more playing time than Ryan Leaf has. Ryan Leaf played 3 seasons with the Chargers, got traded, as a matter of fact, got traded, went to Dallas, played 1 year with Dallas, got traded after they went to another team, and that was his whole career.
But think about this as well. Deshone Kizer, everybody mentions that Ryan Leaf's a head case. Deshone Kizer went into the draft and said, name a college quarterback who goes into game plan meetings and throws my note at the coaches. No one game plans the way I do. No one prepares the way I do. Patrick Mahomes may be able to throw the ball 80 yards, and I can only throw the ball 72, but I guarantee he can't throw an out route the way I do. I do have the ability to be the greatest quarterback who ever played because I can take Tom Brady's intellect and preparation and put it into Cam Newton's body. Yes, he actually said that, and I don't know what he was on at that time, but I want some of that. Like, The fact is, Ryan Leaf is a head case, but Deshone Kizer thinks that he was going to be a great quarterback when in college he completes 58% of his passes. You don't be inaccurate in college and then become all of a sudden an accurate quarterback in the NFL. Like I said, his passer rating was lower than if you did nothing but spike the ball into the ground on every single play, which, by the way, everybody in this chat is capable of doing.
Oh, most definitely. And actually, the whole argument, I can really agree with you on this, Zach. But the one thing I can say is, it's not everybody else's fault. I blame the Green Bay Packers for drafting Deshone Kizer. You knew coming into the draft that Deshone Kizer, he wasn't great. He
The
wasn't great from
Browns
the start.
drafted him.
The Browns drafted him. The Browns drafted him.
Here in
Correct.
Cleveland. But that's my
Right.
point. You
But
can't just blame the Cleveland Browns. Yes, the Browns are
no,
horrible.
exactly. We all know how the Browns and their snake bitten franchise have been going on for years, and they just made the most worst snake bitten decision that they could have made recently, just now with Deshaun Watson. But that's another story for another day. As we all know, great quarterbacks that start in college, high school, and college, as we all know, Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Rodgers. You have Tom Brady. I mean, a lot of quarterbacks that we have seen in college that have become great college quarterbacks. You are a great college quarterback, one of the finalists for the Heisman, the most prestige award in all of college football, and you cannot produce in a pro.
5 minutes remaining, gentlemen. 5 minutes remaining.
Honestly, think about it. You get to the pros, and the same things you said as also Deshone Kizer said. Just like you said, he goes into game preparations, drinking and everything the night before the game. Ryan Leaf goes out drinking the whole week of practice, goes late to practice. He's been there late to practice, goes late to his meetings, yawns at all the interviews, drinks the night before the game and after the game. The dude was a basket case.
I think we're confusing biggest draft bust with worst quarterback. Biggest draft bust, you could make the argument it's Ryan Leaf. But if you just look at what Ryan Leaf accomplished in his career, he did have 2 game-winning drives. He did have 4 games in his career where he threw for over 300 yards. Deshone Kizer never had a 300-yard passing game in his career. And by the way, when Ryan Leaf played, it was much more difficult to throw the football. So you can even excuse a little bit of that because of better defense. Back then, you were allowed to bump guys past 5 yards. They didn't have the illegal contact and the pass interference rules that they have today. Deshone Kizer has nobody's ever played in an easier era to throw the football than Deshone Kizer, and he completed 53% of his passes in his NFL career. His career QBR was in the 30s. That is dreadful on a scale of 0 to 100 in an era where it is so easy. And think about this, folks. The Cleveland Browns have started 23 different quarterbacks since they came in the league in 1999. That's 1 per season. Deshone Kizer is the worst starting quarterback in Cleveland Browns history. That includes Brandon Weeden. That includes Johnny Manziel. That includes Brian Hoyer. That includes everybody you want to talk about. The statement stands for itself if he's the worst starting quarterback in the history of the Cleveland Browns.
If you are a worse quarterback than Brian Hoyer and Johnny Manziel, well, actually, we can vouch for Johnny Manziel. Johnny Manziel only had 2 starts, didn't play good, then they benched him within 2 weeks after. But to say this also, yes, Ryan Leaf did play in a more difficult league back then. He did. But the league actually got back to being more air-rated than they were now. It actually was a great start going into the 99-2000. We all know what happened in the 99 season, which formed the greatest show on turf. They actually brought the West Coast offense and made it revamp. 98 was the start of it. But to get to this point, because actually Denver actually made it better before the Rams actually made it what it was. To say this, Deshone Kizer, yes, oh my God, dreadful. And actually it's not 50%, he actually 43%. That is completely dreadful and beyond that point. But to say this, Ryan Leaf, yes, he has had 2 game-winning drives. That's all you got? I mean,
Deshaun's got no wins.
Honestly though, yes, it was way different. Timeline was way different. Everything was way different from back then to now. Yes, this is a more easier passing league than it was back then. It was way harder defense. Rules changed. Everything was completely different. X all that out. Take all that out, and still put in Ryan Leaf and
2-minute warning,
and
gentlemen.
Kizer.
2-minute warning.
Put in Ryan Leaf and Kizer in the league back then and now. Ryan Leaf would still outdo him, but still they would have the same amount of wins.
So here's
Ryan
2 things. Number one,
Ryan Leaf would still have the most amount of wins, which is 4 wins out of his whole career.
Ryan Leaf got injured, and I think it's important to note this. Ryan Leaf got injured in 1999 and missed the entire season, so at least he has somewhat of an injury excuse. Deshone Kizer does not have any sort of injury excuse whatsoever. And think about this. the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Dallas Cowboys both signed Ryan Leaf to be on their roster. Ryan Leaf still had suitors at the end of the day. Deshone Kizer's had no suitors. He's been a glorified practice squad player because he was on the practice squad for the Raiders and the Titans, and he got turned down by the Canadian Football League. You know how hard it is to get turned down by
That's
Canada
bad.
when they say
That
you're
is
not even good
pretty
enough to
bad.
play football up here?
1 minute
Deshone Kizer
remaining.
got turned down by the CFL. He's had
That's
no.
bad.
He hasn't played a live NFL game in 4 years. And remember, the last time he played a game against the Chicago Bears, he threw that pick six to Khalil Mack. He fumbled the ball. He got them down 23-3. And if Aaron Rodgers didn't pull off the greatest comeback of his career, then he would have single-handedly lost the game for the Packers. And when you have two franchises give up on you and the rest of the league decide, no, we don't need any part of Deshone Kizer, that's pretty bad. And like I said, the worst relationships are usually the shortest relationships. Teams still gave Ryan Leaf chances. Nobody gave Deshone Kizer a chance because they had seen all they needed to see.
And honestly, one more speaking is who do I blame about also Deshone Kizer is the school. You had Brian
15
Kelly
seconds.
as also his head coach. You let him leave off when he wasn't fully developed. He was never a fully developed quarterback. He was never ready for the big time. Ryan Leaf was ready for the big time. Yes, he did get injured in 99. Yes, he wasn't the same 2000 and 2001, and that was it. But 98, I mean, come on now.
And that is time. That is time. I gotta cut it there. Thank you, gentlemen, for that crossfire segment. Who that? You can actually continue speaking because your 2-minute closing statement starts now.
Honestly, guys, I'm probably gonna be the first caster on here to actually give my competitor, but my brother from another mother, ZachCantrell, I would give him his due. He actually came with the facts of his facts for Deshone Kizer, and he is the worst NFL quarterback. He's the worst starting quarterback in NFL history, and I give him that. So let me be the first to say this on my 2-minute drill. He is absolutely right, and I wouldn't be mad if you guys would pick him. And that's honestly called sportsmanship because he actually came with the facts. But of my argument, Ryan Leaf, of a short career, yes, due to his injury, but to where he has so much fire coming from him. He was one of the most higher rated quarterbacks coming out from 97 going into 98, coming out of the draft, going in. They had so much high expectations. The AFC was totally different and their division was completely different than it is now. And it was more stepping into the air rated offense to really change the league format. And my argument of Ryan Leaf as starting quarterback, he just didn't provide a type of goal for most quarterbacks that we've known, 97, 98, 99, 2000, 2001, 2002. He didn't give me that. Minus his injury and minus everything else of his accomplishments, look at his stat line. Look at the games he started. Look at the games he played. Look at the
30
games
seconds
he
remaining.
won. And my argument, I mean, I can't say as also much more. But Ryan Leaf, to me, is the worst starting quarterback in NFL history. Hands down. That's my closing argument.
All right. Thank you, who that? Zach, you can come off of mute. And your 2-minute open closing statement starts now.
So I appreciate the sentiments, Who-Dat, back at you. But Ryan Leaf may go down as the biggest draft bust in NFL history. No doubt he's an awful quarterback the Chargers paid dearly. But this question isn't about who's the biggest draft bust in NFL history. It's what quarterback played the game of football worse than anyone. And while Leaf was terrible, as I said, he did have 2 game-winning drives, won 4 games as a starter, and convinced the Bucs and the Cowboys to take a shot on him after he left San Diego. Deshone Kizer was a one-and-done, went 0-15, and was a liability every time he took a snap. Yes, he played for Hugh Jackson and one of the worst teams in NFL history, but he did play with an offensive line with Joe Thomas, J.C. Tretter, Joel Bitonio, 3 Pro Bowlers, and despite solid protection, Kizer still took 38 sacks. He turned the ball over 31 times in one season. For perspective, Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers each have less turnovers in the last 3 seasons combined. There have been numerous examples of guys who didn't pan out on their first team for whatever reason, such as Johnny Unitas, Kurt Warner, and Brett Favre. They all went on to have Hall of Fame careers once they switched teams. So Deshone Kizer could have got back on track in Green Bay as a serviceable backup and given himself a chance to start somewhere else, but instead he solidified his awful status, never developed. Kizer couldn't even throw a touchdown pass in Green Bay. So it's not as easy to say it's all the Browns' fault. While Ryan Leaf still had suitors after his rough start, Deshone Kizer hasn't played a live game in 4 years and again got turned down by the CFL. Deshone Kizer never had an injury excuse, like Leaf did when he hurt his shoulder and stunted his progression in year 2, because Deshone Kizer never had a year 2. Usually it takes 2 to 3 years to know if a guy's your franchise quarterback, but it doesn't take that long to figure out if someone can play at all. Kizer was not even
30
close
seconds.
to an NFL caliber quarterback, much less a starter. He's the worst quarterback in Browns history, and that statement really speaks for itself. Deshone Kizer's the worst quarterback in NFL history because he has more games benched than wins, didn't have the professionalism needed to be an NFL quarterback, and he's the first quarterback I've ever seen that I, a guy on the couch, can actually say that I couldn't have done much worse and not get laughed out of the room. Great debate, who dat? I concede the rest of my time.
All right. Thank you, Zach. Thank you, who dat? Appreciate the sportsmanship throughout here. Sent out the voting link, and it is live. And we'll give this 2 minutes for voting, or whomever gets the 7 votes first. So that is live.
Zach, you came with the facts, man, and I felt like it was the right thing to do during my 2-minute drill to give you that props. Like, honestly, I ain't gonna lie. Sometimes I have to pick my battles, and you came with it again. You brought me down. I have 0 wins, so I'm trying to do the best I can, man. But you come with the facts. You came with it, and honestly, it caught me off guard because I said Deshone Kizer. I'm like, I remember much about him, but the most I remember was he played. I remember the game with Green Bay, against the Bears, and his Notre Dame career. And he was not a great quarterback at all. Literally, in Notre Dame, he wasn't a great quarterback. He had one game-winning drive, what it was, I can't think his name, but it was against Virginia. And it was his last year before he came to the pros.
Yep. That was
Vote stands at 6-5 right now in favor of Zach. We're about a minute to go in voting. There are 2 more you guys in here. That's 11 votes. There are 2 guys or gals left in here. Vote. One more vote for Zach will end it, or if this result holds, Zach will win it, or if who dat gets one more vote and it holds, then this will end in a tie. So we got about 30 seconds left here. Still holding steady at 11 votes.
Hey, honestly though, Zach, I am just like you and Matt. I just seen in the chat. I am down to do the greatest upset in college football history. Just like how you crazy about college football, I live college football. Like the greatest upset, I got a few. There's a few. That's a good few, man.
I'm calling App State though.
10 seconds. Tied at 6.
The worst one was against my team was Michigan and App State. That was the worst upset in college football history ever, all time, hands down. I cried that day. I
can't say I did.
Well, I have to stop it there. This is going to end in a tie, 6 apiece on the worst starting quarterback of all time. So that will go down as a tie for Zach and who dat. Great debate, gentlemen.
It was.
Definitely.
All right. Well, I will certainly see you guys around on the show. Appreciate you guys coming in to get us started off. And I'll go ahead and get ready for the next debate. But thanks again, gentlemen. Appreciate the time. Appreciate the sportsmanship.
No problem. Y'all have a good one, man.
Light them up. All right, so now we have wrapped up our first contest on who was the worst starting quarterback of all time. And we had a tie, 6-6, between Deshone Kizer and Ryan Leaf. So a great way to start the show. Now we're going to our second contest here on what was the best scoring drive in NFL history. And I have MattSiriani, who is so far undefeated in his campaign on Light 'em Up. He's 2-0 versus RomanFurch, who will be making his first appearance here in season 3 on Light 'em Up. So, so let's go ahead and get started here. Matt, you have the better record at 2-0. So you get to decide if you want to start with your opening statement or make the first closing statement. What do you choose?
Mr. David, my good man, I choose to open it up.
All right. So with that being said, Roman, I'll invite you to go on mute. You already have. Great. Matt, your 2-minute opening statement starts now.
Okay. So when it comes to great NFL drives, it has to be the quarterback that we know is the best known for doing it. And then we have our Bobby Lanes, we have our Roger Staubachs, we have our John Elways, we have our Tom Brady's. But of those quarterbacks that are great at executing a perfect drive, there's only one quarterback that's done it all at every single level, at every single place he's gone to, and that's Joe Montana. And no work could be more beautiful, more picture perfect of a drive than his drive in Super Bowl 23 against the Cincinnati Bengals. Why is this so significant? Because Joe Montana was in his 10th year in the NFL. He was about to his own 8-yard line, and with 3:10 to go, down 16-13, he looks up at the stands and says, "Hey guys, there's John Candy." That just shows you how cool and confident Joe Montana was. And this drive, an 11-play, 92-yard drive that took 2 minutes and 36 seconds, and yes, I'm a math whiz, beep, boop, 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 bop. But math whizzes know how to work this out. But the bottom line is this drive was executed so perfectly, flawlessly. Time, precision, pace, momentum, methodical. Everything about it was everything that you want. And it was a great way to end the legendary career of Bill Walsh. And I have plenty to get into and why this drive is so significant in Joe Montana's career, Bill Walsh's career, and the 49ers moving forward. I can see my time.
All right. Thank you, Matt. You can go on mute. And Roman, you can come off of mute to start your 2-minute opening statement.
All right. So if I got to be honest, the best opening drive in all of football, you got to say, is the Eli Manning drive to Plaxico Burress in Super Bowl. I forgot which Super Bowl it was, but it was the Super Bowl. It was the first Super Bowl Patriots had against the Giants, the undefeated Patriots in 08 that they used. And those Giants, you got to think about the plays that happened before that. You had the David Tyree catch, one of the most famous catches in Super Bowl history. And then even after that, you have another famous catch in Super Bowl history, Plaxico Burress toe tapping in the end zone just to get the lead. I think it was to get the 14-10 lead that ended up winning them that game and ended up conquering probably the greatest team of all time. I mean, yes, Joe Montana did have an amazing drive, but it still was against the Bengals team that was definitely a worse team, and Joe Montana was definitely a better quarterback with a better team at the time than that Giants team ever had.
All right. Gentlemen just coming out with a short and sweet opening statements. They're ready to get into the crossfire, so I'll invite you both off of mute, and your 10 minutes of crossfire on the best winning drive in NFL history starts now. Light them up.
All right, so I'm going to start this off by saying that I'm a Giants fan as well as a New York Yankee fan. I'm from the New Jersey area. The helmet catch is a phenomenal play, but the drive itself is known for just 2 plays. If you look at the rest of the drive, it's not really significant. Eli Manning did not really play that well. He's had 4 incompletions on that drive. 2 times he should have been intercepted, one of which by Asante Samuel, and he just looked flat the entire drive. Like he should have.
That's what makes it even better. You have all the heartbreak that's involved. You have all the suspense of the interceptions and all the incompletions, and you still have those 2 major plays, and you still have the Tyree catch where you have him literally like breaking out of 5 different players trying to sack him, and then he makes that throw that pretty much should have been intercepted but wasn't. It was caught by Tyree, a career backup too.
Yeah, but I'm gonna say this. Yeah, he is a career backup. I love the fact that you chose this play because I'm a Giants fan, but at the same time, you got to go with a drive. Like if we're talking best drives in NFL history, it's about a series. A drive is a series of plays, not 1 or 2 spectacular plays, and the rest of it's like, okay. Like remember,
I understand a drive is a series of plays, but you gotta remember all the suspense that was going on between that drive with the drive that you had for the 49ers. That drive, you could tell by the first play that the Niners were going to go and score, because that Bengals team was looking terrible on defense that whole drive. If you go back and watch it on the drive for the Giants, that Patriots defense literally looked like they were probably one of the hardest thing. They looked like probably the hardest thing to go through that entire way, and that's why it looked so difficult for Eli Manning to even do what he did.
Yeah, but like when I think of Joe Montana's drive, like he was fantastic. Boom, 8 plays to Roger Craig. Boom, short play to John Frank for a first down. Boom, Roger Craig again. Boom, Jerry Rice. He utilized all of his weapons on this drive. The big play of the drive was a 27-yard pass over the middle to Jerry Rice to get to the 18-yard line. And then boom, an 8-yard pass to Roger Craig to the 10-yard line. And then boom, John Taylor. He utilized all of his weapons. He looked fantastic. He only had 1 incompletion the entire drive. He picked apart the Bengals defense single-handedly, even when the Bengals had the best defense called on the field. And Bill Walsh, as an offensive mastermind, as a head coach, he called arguably the best drive of his entire professional career as a head coach, and God bless him, he's no longer with us. But at the same time, you can't deny. I'm not going to say that Eli Manning didn't do what he needed to do to win Super Bowl 42. But it all comes down to a series of plays. That's what I think a drive is. A drive is a series of plays that is so significant and how it came together into a touchdown drive. The helmet catch, love it. But at the same time, is it one iconic drive? And also, the Patriots had 3 miscues on this drive. It's not just the interceptions. That's number 1. Number 2, it's the fact that Plaxico Burress popped wide open in the back of the end zone, uncovered. And number 3, on that helmet catch, Eli Manning should have been stopped by 3 or 4 or even 5 Patriots defenders.
Yeah, but that's what makes it even better. That he should have had all these things that shouldn't have happened, and it literally was just a miracle that it happened in the first place. That other drive that you're speaking of, the 49ers drive against the Bengals, the 49ers just threw a bunch of checkdowns and had one big pass to Jerry Rice. It just was a bunch of them getting yards through that defense, because Joe Montana, yes, he was throwing some good dimes, but they weren't really ones that you would have to like have suspense for, because they weren't any like super like high performance, high intensity type ones where you have to throw downfield just hoping that something's there.
Yeah, well, going deep or going home is not really what necessarily makes a great drive. A great drive, like I said, it has to come together methodically, momentum, all that stuff, tempo, and that's what Joe Montana brought. And also on top of that, as much as I love the helmet catch, there's one problem. 2 words about that drive. 2 words: Joe Buck. Joe Buck called that drive. He did not do a great job calling that drive. He made the helmet catch seem like a 4-yard screen pass when he called it. Meanwhile, on the 49ers side, when they called the drive, it was Lon Simmons' final broadcast as 49ers broadcaster, and he did a phenomenal job. If anything,
Okay. I understand the announcers didn't help out, but it's not. But the drive isn't all the announcers and all that. It's really more just it's just a place in general. You can't really go off of the announcers. Like, I understand the announcers bring a little bit of energy, but they don't bring enough energy to really show what the drive is itself.
Well, the announcers really definitely do bring it a little bit into it because it makes it feel more special. I mean, think of it. Why do you think the Immaculate Reception is such a phenomenal play? Because the announcers just made it sound so significant because even though it was just a divisional playoff game, it sounded like a big deal. Joe Buck didn't make it sound like a big deal. And Lon Simmons, like I said, final broadcast of the 49ers, Bill Walsh, final drive called as head coach of the 49ers, Joe Montana, in year 10 of his career, calm, cool, and collected, like we've never seen him before, in the biggest stage of his life, performed well again. He had 357 yards in that Super Bowl, and most of that came through the air on this final drive. So a quarter of his passing yards came on that final drive. So he just performed calm, cool, under pressure again. And no matter what the circumstances were, the Bengals had the best defense called.
5 minutes remaining, and I'll cut in here to say that I'm willing to let you guys debate the totality of the drive. So not the announcers, the overall experience that the drive, the importance of it, like the totality of the drive can be debated here. 4:45 to go, gentlemen. Light them up.
Okay, I mean, if we're going off of that as well, the importance of the drive, and you got to think about everything else. Eli Manning was in his fifth year of his career. That Giants team was really known for their defense, not for their offense. That 49ers team and the other drive, they really already had that team together. They'd been in the Super Bowl before, and they've dealt with stuff like that. They've dealt with drives before. They even have a more famous one, the one that ended up with Vince Scully called Dwight Clark. Scully called when Montana threw it to Dwight Clark. Like, I feel like that's a more famous drive. I feel like that's a more like important drive in their career than it was the drive against the Bengals. The drive against the Patriots. You got to think about that. Patriots team was probably the best team of all time, and somehow Eli Manning managed to get that drive off and win them that game. That won them the Super Bowl, the most underdog Super Bowl winners you've probably ever seen.
Yeah, I understand that. Like the circumstances, a perfect season on the line. Eli Manning came from out of nowhere. The Giants were a wild card team in the playoffs. I get it, but like, think of it. When Joe Montana comes on the field, you know for a fact something magical is about to happen. With Eli Manning, you just didn't know. And when you go into NFL history galore, and I know this because I'm an NFL historian, I've studied both drives. And when they talk in NFL history about Super Bowl 42, they don't talk about, well, Eli Manning had 4 incomplete passes on the final drive. Eli Manning should have been intercepted by Asante Samuel. They don't talk about that. They talk about the helmet catch, which is why I'm kind of saying, there's nothing really memorable about that drive except maybe 1, 2, or 3 plays. That drive was 12 plays, 2 minutes and 7 seconds, and 83 yards. Do they talk about every single play on that drive? No, they don't, because there's really nothing else significant other than Burress popping wide open, Asante Samuel almost having an interception.
And I mean that's the thing. You don't need all the other plays in that drive to talk about the significance of it, because all the other plays in that drive didn't cause the significance of it. The significance of it was the situation that it was in, the plays that happened, which was the Tyree catch and the throw to Plaxico Burress and the Asante Samuel interception that he could have had that would have won them the Super Bowl.
I'm going to chime in here again. I believe that Patriots Giants Super Bowl, the Patriots were undefeated at that point, right?
Yeah, the Patriots were. It was the first Super Bowl, the undefeated one. The second one arguably has a drive about as well too with the Manningham catch. But
so let me ask a question to Matt then. Again, we're talking about the totality of a drive and what that means, right? Like, why do you think? I guess, in your opinion, why do you think it doesn't matter that Eli Manning was able to complete that drive against a team that was undefeated at that point?
Listen, I'm going to tell you this. I give Eli Manning all the credit in the world for completing that drive, but he didn't look perfect on that drive. Joe Montana was pure perfection, and that drive in Super Bowl 23, that is signature Joe Montana. Eli Manning does not have a signature drive that you could say, oh, well, he did this, he executed this perfectly. Okay, maybe Super Bowl 46, but this is Joe Montana at his best, with the chips are down, game on the line, Super Bowl on the line, pure perfection. There's nothing you could say about Eli Manning that, he lives dangerously on his offensive drives, but Joe Montana is just perfection. You want to see a guy orchestrate a drive with class, with masterful skill, and that's what Joe Montana did.
Yes, I completely understand. You want to see a guy with class. You want to see a guy. Want to see a guy turn an offensive set that just looks amazing. Eli Manning. The thing is, He's such a wild card that's what makes it even better because you have no idea what the hell he's gonna do. You had no idea what the hell he was gonna do on that drive. That's what made it even more significant because you had no idea if he was gonna just be terrible and lose them that game or he's gonna just somehow manage
1 minute
to win
remaining.
that game.
1 minute.
Well, I'm going to wrap this up because I know we have 1 more minute. Joe Montana is a legend in his display. In his 10th year in the NFL, there was stout. I mean, listen, that year he was in a quarterback contest with Steve Young, who went on to be the 49ers starter in a few years. But Joe Montana went out on that drive and proved, you know what? 32, 31 years old, I'll be damned. I still got it. I can be whoever. I can pick you apart limb from limb. There's no one who's going to beat me. I'm going to do whatever it takes to win. And that's what he did. Under calm, cool, and pressure, under calm, cool, collective circumstances. He sees John Candy, no big deal. And that's what's amazing about Joe Montana. Eli Manning, I give him, like I said, I'm not saying anything bad about Eli Manning. I'm a Giants fan. I love Eli. But that's not his, he had one
15 seconds.
play, not a signature drive.
I mean, it's multiple plays too, but it is a signature drive.
And time. I'll go ahead and end it there. Thank you, gentlemen, for that crossfire segment. Roman, you have 2 minutes for your closing statement, and they start now.
All right. Well, so going off of what we said earlier, the drive you got to go through the whole thing, the announcers, the significance, and everything else involved with it. The significance of the Giants drive is that the Giants team, it was kind of a hodgepodge of a team. They weren't really supposed to make the playoffs in the first place. They made the wild card out of kind of a little bit of luck, and two, they made it through the whole playoffs, and then you go against probably the best team of all time, and managed to get one of the most miraculous two of the most miraculous plays of all time. If you look at it, the announcer definitely didn't help there, but it definitely does prove the importance of that drive if you think about how much of an upset that was in the Super Bowl. And if you go off of the drive that you had for the 49ers, that 49ers team, they were built already. They were the better team in that Super Bowl. I understand the announcer definitely helped them out more, but you got to think about it. Bill Walsh was a way better coach than I forgot what coach they had, but he was a way better coach. And also, I got to say, in general, that 49ers team, that offense was way better than that defense. I understand, like, the stats kind of show that it was, like, one of the top defenses were first one of the top offenses, but you got to think about how much more that top offense was than that top defense.
All right. Thank you, Roman. Matt, you can come off of mute and start your 2 minute closing statement.
All right. So, like I said, the main thing that I have about this is about the best drive in NFL history. And this was a drive. This was not a significant play. This wasn't a fluke play. This wasn't something that was miraculous. It was just pure perfection of a drive at its finest. It was Joe Montana at his finest. It was Jerry Rice who had 221 receiving yards. Joe Montana 357 passing yards. A quarter of that stats came on that drive. And that makes Joe Montana, that was his signature drive. That's signature Joe Montana. When the chips are down, he's calm, cool under pressure. He picks apart defense no matter what the situation is. And everything he does is just magic. And he's going to do something well, even when he touches the football, because that's how phenomenal Joe Montana was. Eli Manning, I'm a Giants fan. I love Eli Manning, but this was not his best work. I've seen Eli Manning have better drives in the regular season. Not in the playoffs necessarily. But the thing is, like, when you look at a drive, is like, what do you talk about in Super Bowl history when you think of Super Bowl 23? You don't talk about how low of a scoring affair it was beforehand. You talk about Joe Montana was able to muster together a drive in 2 minutes and 36 seconds, 92 yards, 11 plays, literally no mistakes made, and ultimately he proved no matter what stage of his career, he's still the man. And he went on to win 2 MVPs after that drive. He went on to
45 seconds.
He went on to tell Steve Young, "This is my job. You're not keeping it." Even when Bill Walsh tried to start a quarterback controversy in 1988, there was just a lot of stuff riding. Bill Walsh's swan song, Joe Montana proving he's still the man, Steve Young waiting another 3 years to get an opportunity. Everything, and it also solidified the 49ers as the team of the decade. The Giants were in the team of the 2000s. The Patriots were. And I know the Giants beat them. But at the same time, the 49ers solidified their place in history with this drive as signature Joe Montana. I can see my time.
All right. Thank you, Matt. Gentlemen, thank you for an awesome debate. Voting for this should be really interesting. A lot of engagement in the chat. So let me open this one up. And let's see what the fans have to say.
I feel like for my comeback, that definitely was a good one there.
Yeah. No, listen. You try to stun my momentum a little bit. Usually when I get going, I don't stop. But like you came in with the facts.
Oh, yeah, I mean, you got to think about like they're not that good, and then they just fucking had that. Also, you got to think of that's just an underrated drive in the first place because you only think of the Tyree catch there. You don't think of the Plaxico Burress or everything else there that kind of made it even more.
I mean, listen, I'm a Giants fan. Like I said, Eli Manning is like a god to me, but I just genuinely thought that he was not perfect on that drive. I love the Mario Manningham drive. That drive was
Oh yeah,
excellent.
the Mario Manningham drive is amazing. I was debating between those two because those two both had their own significance between like the Patriots and living rent free in Brady's head.
All right. Well, I have to stop the voting because Roman got past the line for majority. He got 7 votes. There are 13 people here.
Oh.
So yeah, that'll
Wait,
do
what?
it. There's not enough votes remaining in order to for Matt to come back. So Roman's going to win this one. So congrats,
right,
Roman, on winning your season 3 debut.
Oh, thank you. Can't wait to see you next week, Matt.
Yeah, I can't wait to see. Actually, can I promote one thing before I go?
Sure, go ahead, Matt.
All right. So outside of Colorcast, I have a podcast called MattSiriani Says Sports. It's on YouTube. It's on Facebook. And Tuesday is our 100th episode. And I'm
awesome.
Really that. Doing this show with you guys is just awesome. And, it's a way to get my creative juices flowing. And it's a way to get myself, my palate wet with sports. And this is like a passion for me. And, just doing the podcast itself, it just makes me hungrier and hungrier to talk about sports. And this kind of stuff is like awesome. And Roman, I was scared I was going to have to take a forfeit, but you came in at the last minutes and you came out strong. So.
Yeah, that was my bad. I had to deal with a bloody nose that whole way through.
Oh, you really?
The bloody nose debate.
The bloody nose debate. The Jordan flu game all over.
Right?
Wow.
Well, Matt, thank you for those remarks, man. Roman, appreciate you powering through, brother. And thank you both for an awesome debate.
Thank you.
I'm going to go ahead and clear you guys out of here for our third and final contest of the evening. And we'll definitely see you guys around. Light 'em up. All right, everyone. Well, thank you for tuning in to tonight's edition of Light 'em Up, our 31st episode, Season 3, Episode 6. Unfortunately, due to some technical difficulties with our good friend Trippy, we weren't able to give you our third debate of the evening with Cap No Cap on who is the best modern-day UFC fighter. We'll try to get that one rescheduled for you guys for a later date. But I want to thank RomanFurch, MattSiriani, WhoDat, and ZachCantrell for participating in our first 2 debates for this, what's been an amazing audience. I want to thank our live listening audience for keeping the chat lit. We got about 15 listeners in here, 1.6 likes, 1.6 thousand likes. And we just appreciate you guys all the time for just coming in here and making Light 'em Up a staple here on Colorcast. And we look forward to doing this again next week. Light 'em up. So with that being said, I see Stone Sports is in here for who hosts our Cool 'em Down. Stone, drop in the chat here. Do you want to just do Cool 'em Down here? I can invite you as a co-caster, and we can just run it here since we got our usual audience for CED here. Let me know how you want to flow here, brother. I figured it'd make it easier for the listening audience. Give him a moment or two here. Okay, so we'll give Stone a minute. But yeah, so I just want to thank you guys again for tuning in week out here on Light 'em Up, for making it a staple here on Colorcast app. This is the tagline for the show is this is the home of fan first sports debate. And that really means a lot to me because you all, as the fans, you consume sports left and right. Like you're passionate about your teams, you're passionate about your takes. And what I aim to do here, what the crew aims to do here on Line 'em Up each and every week is to give you guys a platform to express your thoughts, your passions here about sports and sports culture. I mean, I think MattSiriani said it best. This gives him opportunity to let his creative juices flow and just get that passion out. And I'm just happy and blessed to be a vehicle for you guys. We've had, after tonight, I believe we are now at 93 debates. We've had over 50 unique casters come across this show, and we ain't stopping. We're not stopping at all as I welcome Stone Sports in here to transition to our after show. So I want to thank you guys again for tuning in to Light 'em Up. Make sure to like and subscribe to us on YouTube and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Light 'em Up Show. And download the podcast on wherever you get your podcasts and subscribe to us on YouTube. So I want to thank you all for listening. And again, let's get ready for our after show as I welcome in Stone Sports to run things here. So let me get him to the stage. Stone, my brother, how's it going?
It's going, David. You hear me all right?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
All right.
All right, I'll hand it over to you.
Back again for Cool 'em Down. It's been a little bit. Great show tonight. I tuned in at the end there. Didn't get to catch the whole thing, but busy man. Keeps turning.
Indeed it does. Indeed it does.
David, we got some big news tonight.
Some big news. Yes, we do.
I know we've been talking about this behind the scenes for a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
but Colorcast as a whole is gone down in quality the last, few months. We've lost a lot of viewership. We've lost a lot of motivation. People, no longer with the company that were trying to help us out. There's a lot of shit going on, but I know you wrote a letter. I invite you to read that real quick.
Oh, you gonna let me read it? Okay.
I will.
Okay.
Give it up to you.
Okay. Awesome. Well, let me do this. Let me do this here. I'll drop the letter in the chat.
A
Let
lot
me
of
just
people in on this as well.
Yeah, there are. So let me drop that link here in the chat so you guys can kind of read along. And it's public. I don't care where you share it or whatnot. I will go ahead and just bury the lead here. Light 'em Up is moving from Colorcast. We're this tonight's show was the last edition, or we're going to have on the platform for reasons I will go into right now.
It's
Here.
also the last cast I'll be a part of on Colorcast as well. I know a lot of other people have already left the Discord this week.
Yes.
We are making that announcement now.
Yep. So for the past 3 years, Colorcast has helped sports fans and budding sports broadcasters alike to have a platform to call games, do talk shows, and share their hot takes, and develop a fun Discord community along the way. Unfortunately, the past year has seen a lot of Colorcast culture dwindle, specifically around the conclusion of the most recent NFL season. Audiences are gone and casters aren't sticking around, largely due to a lack of platform support and a feature set that is very hit or miss. So on the notion of poor platform engagement, total listeners on gamecasts and talk shows remain dismal, barely cracking into the teens and even for the most popular casters on the platform. For example, Light 'em Up used to average about 20 to 30 listeners. Sometimes we even cracked the 40s earlier this year. We barely now crack into the low teens for the show due to no fault of our own. To aid with improving this effort, we've made several requests to the Colorcast brass requesting additional promotion and marketing of established and up-and-coming casters to help grow the platform and give exposure to the community. Most of these concerns are falling on deaf ears, save for a random Twitter account named Not Colorcast, which over the past several months has profiled a caster of the day with the help of our good friend and co-producer of Light 'em Up, Patrick Rush. As of writing, Colorcast's Twitter has not shared anything since mid-June, and their Instagram has not shared a post since May. That is further evidence that promotion of the platform and its members are not a priority. The hit or miss features. The app has provided a subpar experience for the past few months with features such as incomplete recordings, incorrect listener counts, garbled audio, app crashes midstream, and the absence of an Android app to make Colorcast more accessible not only within the United States but across the world. These issues have prevented users from establishing a professional, smooth broadcast experience for the caster and for the listening audience. Colorcast hinges its success and overall engagement solely on the NFL season, ignoring significant portions of the sports calendar like the NBA, NHL playoffs, Major League Baseball, women's basketball, March Madness, and other sports. This ignorance alienates huge swaths of the Colorcast community that have unmet, unappreciated passions for these sports. And on the topic of investments being made elsewhere, in Colorcast defense, we understand that a lot of stalling on the Colorcast app was in an effort to focus on fundraising a new round earlier this year. I'm a business student. I understand how business works for startups, especially pre-revenue startups like Colorcast. At some point, you have to start showing your investors that you need to turn a profit. I totally get that. The team that has signed this letter with me totally gets that. However, what we don't necessarily agree with is that the funding that will be used primarily that they got from their latest funding, that Colorcast got from their latest funding round, it's going to fuel a new sports betting/gambling app. And that's going to further stall any improvements to the core Colorcast app. That means that for an indefinite amount of time, we're going to continue to pour out content onto a platform where really no one's driving the ship. We don't know when exactly anyone's going to continue to engage with us. Key members of the Colorcast brass, like Tristan, have now left, so we have no sort of point person.
There's nobody working on the technical side of the app.
Yes.
Nobody's going to be able to fix it. It's essentially taking time.
It is.
Something breaks with it, nobody's going to put anything in to fix it. They're not putting anything into this, so why should we? They had something here. They could have invested their money into this, into the shows, into promotion, into ads. We've been trying to do this to get their ear for months. Nothing's happened, and honestly, it's just gone in the complete wrong direction. Unfortunately, this is the way we have to go, but myself, David, and everyone else that signed this letter is taking all of their shows and all of their effort and putting that into our own thing on Twitter Spaces.
Exactly.
there's too many talented people here to let that go to waste.
Exactly. And so to kind of close out the letter, as I close out the letter here, Stone, you kind of hit the nail on the head towards the end here, is that the question that myself and the undersigned have on this letter is that why should we continue investing our time, talent, and treasure on Colorcast? And unfortunately, the signees of this letter do not have an answer to this question given the grievances we've outlined above. We would welcome a good faith conversation with the Colorcast brass to answer this question in the future. We want to improve the viability of Colorcast platform and encourage long-term engagement for existing and new members of the platform. Until then, the undersigned will be moving a significant portion of our content to Twitter Spaces and invite our fans to join us because, quite frankly, you all deserve better. You guys, again, like I said at the beginning here, we've had over 50 casters appear on the show. We've had close to 100 debates, and you guys come out here and share your immense knowledge, skill, expertise, your time to give people and to inform people, to entertain people with your debates. And we want to give you the biggest platform possible to make that happen. And like Nelly just mentioned in the comments, when we first started, we had 38 people that would tune into this cast. And we thought that number would continue to go up. We barely get a fraction of that now. And that is a fly in the face, not only to creators of this content, but listeners such as yourselves of this content. And we want to give you guys better. And joining me and wanting to give you guys better are the likes of Armchair Host, Blake, Easy Money Nelly, John Ball, Lily Shue, myself live with David and Stone Sports. And as Stone mentioned, we will be moving all of our content to Twitter Spaces. More details on that will be coming.
I can already throw in some more names to that too.
Go for it.
ZachCantrell, Spencer Jarvis, Marker 99, Bojo. We got, I think that's it. Calvin SGF. So
there you go.
People coming over.
So there you go. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Those are our thoughts. That's the letter. Again, that letter is public. You feel free to share that link out to whomever, wherever. I mean, we're totally fine with that. But like I said, tonight's episode of Light 'Em Up will be the last one we will host on Colorcast. Maybe there's an opportunity for a reunion in the future if Colorcast gets back to its old ways. But for right now, in the better interests of Light 'Em Up, in the better interests of ourselves as creators, in the better interest of the people that invest their time, talent, and treasure on coming to this show and putting out great content for their own shows, we have to make this pivot to make sure that our content get exposed. So we thank you all again for your time, and I guess we'll just take a moment to open up and see what you guys got to say here.
Yeah, absolutely. If anybody wants to come on, I know Nelly requested. I want to get him in here. Obviously.
Yeah, I think Pat wanted to get in here too. So let's do that. So we're not going to do a free for all here. Let's let the crew get in here, kind of share some of their thoughts, and then we'll rotate out some of the other folks here down on crew.
Pat and Nelly in here first, and
yep.
We'll get Zach.
Yeah, so, change is inevitable. If you don't get it to time, you will get left behind. And we felt it was time for us to get with the times and join the bigger platform where it can widen our exposure and listening base. And thus, we decided we're going to be taking our time, our treasure, and our talents to Twitter Spaces instead of Colorcast for Light 'Em Up. And in the case of that letter, in general. Time after time, complaints have been on deaf ears of people like you in the Colorcast community. Soccer scoreboards not being there, NHL scoreboards not being there, having, tournaments or like Android not being
spending
there.
Spending all this money to make a betting app and not, focus on
just
the one you have.
So it's, I completely understand people were leaving completely for good, but one thing that is leaving for good from Colorcast is Light 'Em Up. So please join that Discord I posted in the chat. I'm going to post it again so it doesn't get lost in the sauce, as Nelly would say. So we can maybe, David, set up a thing where we share each other's Twitter handles or something. So we can follow each other so we can make it so we can.
You can follow me right now. Just click on my logo on here. Go ahead and view profile. It brings you to my Twitter, whatever other links I have on there. Like I said, this is going to be my last cast on Colorcast. I plan on deleting the app after this. I encourage people to do the same. It's over. They're not doing anything else with this app. It sucks. I put a lot of time in on this app, but that's where we're at. So we got to keep, we got to go somewhere else to be heard.
Yep, I agree. I agree.
In the long run, Twitter Space is going to be better. It's Colorcast, but listen, when you have to promote your shit on this app, you have to convince somebody to download an app they've never heard of and listen to your show. Everybody has Twitter. You just have to convince them to listen to your shit. It's half the work. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, that's where I'm at on it. I'm pretty over it. I haven't been on the app in months, really. I've done my show, and that's about it. But this has been coming for a while. We've tried everything in our power to stop it, but here we are.
Correct.
Like, literally everything.
So let's take a look here in the chat. I see Mibbs has Evan offering a direct response to the letter.
Evan hasn't.
He has this.
Anything.
Yeah, that's the thing. So we put together the letter as a summation of everything that we've been feeling over the past several months, Mibbs. But I mean, we welcome a good faith conversations with them. We're not bitter. I want to make that perfectly clear. We're not bitter because we can't get listeners and anything like that. We're just really disappointed in the fact that we've been investing so much of our time, talent, and treasure into a platform that isn't reciprocating the effort. And so that's why.
Really bad heart.
So
I completely agree. I mean, like you said, I'm not bitter. It's just like we tried, and it's unfortunate, but it's what's happening.
Exactly.
It would be, I wouldn't feel right just dipping and not saying anything to help this.
And I have Evan's cell phone number, Mibbs. I can get in direct contact with him. But again, I shouldn't have to try to leverage my connections with him to do that. So. Evan has blessed me with some opportunities to where I had to get his personal phone number. So a couple of months ago, I had a cast with Vic Mensa, for example, to call a fight. And so I'll always be grateful for Evan immediately thinking of me to set that up and arrange that. But I shouldn't have to do that. Like if myself and I think the dozen plus people that have been expressing time after time on the Colorcast Discord, on Twitter, and their own conversations with Evan as part of the Colorcast workshops, that we need these features to give ourselves, as creators, as listeners, a better experience. That's a problem. That's tone deaf, and that's irresponsible. That's showing immense irresponsibility to your community.
We tried harder to save this out than they did.
Yeah.
So why would we be paying more money to go buy a whole different thing that they're not going to listen to us there either? So what's the fucking point?
Yeah. Let me bring in Nelly, so he can kind of share his thoughts. Yep. So we'll give her a moment to hop on here.
Everybody's just we're doing our own shit on Twitter. Everybody's doing their own thing and pushing everybody. It's gonna be a lot better. Nelly, what's up?
Hey, how's it going, guys? It's been a while.
Been a minute.
Yeah, it has been a minute.
How are we doing? First of all, I just want to be a little meta here for a second. David, the cold, precise professionalism, it stings harder than just me being an asshole. So, congrats.
That's why I was like, I'm just going to let David read it.
It just hurts. Like, per my last email, oh man, that hurts. Yeah, dude, I think you guys pretty much said everything we had to say. I mean, we've been busting our asses here. We saw potential, as did everyone that's still here, whether as a caster or a listener. And then it had so much potential, and they worked on it. And then all of a sudden, we're doing our betting app, and then it's kind of been a shit show since then. And I've been very straightforward with my problems with Colorcast. I've kind of taken my time away from it. I respect everyone that's still on here, and that will continue to be on here because I like a lot of your guys' content stuff. But you can't waste your time, right? Tristan's gone.
100%.
Any of the people on the back technical side are gone. We're just casting into the void. And I'm not saying I want to be on SportsCenter or anything, but what's the point of working on your debate and formulating an argument? At the end of the day, we do it to have fun, but you put effort into it. But they're not putting literally any. I mean that's just all the work you have to put in. But I don't even have a Twitter, so I will be joining you guys for anyone that's not big about social media. Neither am I at all. Kind of a ghost. So hey, we can all do it together and all get kind of fake burner accounts, and we're gonna get the Twitter spaces, guys.
So let me speak to that for a second because I know that was going to be something that might be an issue for people. So if you don't have a Twitter, and you want to listen to the show, Twitter Spaces does allow you to listen to a space without having to be on Twitter. So if you're on the Light 'em Up Discord, which I think Pat has shared in the chat, we will be dropping the links there. So people that if you want to listen or you want to share it out via text to your friends, more than welcome to do so. If you don't have Twitter and you want to participate on Light 'em Up moving forward, I will be in the process of creating Twitters that Light 'em Up will own. and we'll just call them like, I don't know, like LEU1, LEU2 or whatever. We'll change it to keep your name, like to whomever's name is for that debate that day. And if you just, all we would ask you to do is just download the app, the Twitter app for that day, use it. And if you want to delete it afterwards, great, it's totally fine. But that's kind of how we would allow people to participate on Twitter without necessarily have to create one for themselves if you don't want to.
Yeah. Yeah, and we're going to be doing that. And also, Stone had a really good idea about how we're going to do the chat. Can you share that with them just so we can get
Oh, yeah, so the one thing with Twitter Spaces that's lacking, the Colorcast, has is a live chat. Workaround for that, basically, is going to make, whoever's doing the show, say I'm doing the half ounce, half hour, I'd post basically a tweet thread for that show, and that would act as a chat. So you would just send out tweets. It would also boost, that tweet. It would get more impressions on it. It's pleasant to the algorithm, is what I'm trying to say. So it not only is it going to, help us in that way, but it's also a workaround to not having a chat.
Yep.
I just want to hop in real quick. I think the coolest, like, not even to be like all sentimental, because that's not the kind of dude I really am, but like we started this. We're just like, oh, the Colorcast is cool. Like I know David and I were in there, and we're like a sports debate show would be cool. And then someone accused us. I don't know who the hell that was. Like, I came up with that idea. I was like, you think you fucking came up with sports debate shows? You're fucking relax. You're an idiot. Oh, I came up with that idea. No, you didn't.
He cornered the market, Nelly. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, we stopped at this. We stole his idea and then did it. How's that stuff? But yeah, just talk sports, and then everyone loved the idea. Everyone pitched ideas. Everyone loved coming on. It started super small. We've had people in and out, but like it's been a whole like life of its own. And I think like, not to say like Colorcast should have focused on us, but like growing shows within their platform that originated on the platform.
Yes.
Like pitches be crazy.
Pitches
all the
be,
John
yes.
stuff. Pat, first of all, Pat, this is the last time I'm ever on Colorcast, right? So if I'm talking Colorcast, you are the fucking GOAT. And all this like check mark bullshit, you cast it every fucking day I've been on this app for 7 months. And people have been on longer. I don't care. I'm saying I've been on, Pat has casted every single, and this man couldn't get a check mark. Bullshit. Right?
Yeah, that's some bullshit.
That is indicative of like how they feel. Like, oh yeah, but fucking random Twitter nobodies that I go check their Twitter, get a check mark immediately, and there's 9 of them in a cast. Like, it's just such bullshit, dude. You carry this app for like 8 months straight, and you got no recognition for it, no matter what they say to you. So just
and then they fire one of my good friends.
Great fucking bullshit. Anyways, I like everyone here. I like arguing with everyone here. I would love to give you all the fucking smoke, because people think they're hot shit nowadays, because I've been gone a hot second. So I'm waiting. You want it? Let me know. I'm totally down. I
want to mention that Nelly has the longest winning streak in LEU history. I believe he had 5 or 6 straight wins.
Damn right.
So I just want to call that out.
Absolutely.
Any other comments from the crew? Because I want to get some of our non-crew people on here.
No, I'm ready to get through this and get the fuck out of here, man. Ready to mic drop.
Okay. All right, now I'm bringing Zach to share some thoughts.
Real quick before he does get on. If anybody wants to join that Discord I put in there, that's basically the home base for pretty much everyone that signed that letter. That's where, at least me, and I know a few other of the people that were on there, that's where we're going to be,
like Lily
sending out episodes,
on
talking sports, all sorts of
Maddie, I'm not trying to be disrespectful to other people. I'm saying this man has casted every single day in the past 6 months. That's all I'm saying. I'm not trying to take away from anyone else. I apologize. That was my tone.
I appreciate it.
All right, we got Zach in here. Zach, you got 5 minutes, brother. What's up?
Man, yeah, this is kind of it's a sad day, but at the same time, I think it's a necessary move. I think reading through that letter and everything, if they're not going to give us what we need, then we're bigger than what they think that we are. And, with a sports betting app, well, guess what? There's 5 billion sports betting apps. We could bring them something that no one else can really provide. Like I said, First Take could never do what we do as far as our debate shows are concerned. My only question would be, like, when we go to Twitter Spaces, there's just going to be like a big hub for us to just kind of promote all of our shit for everybody to gather for like Patrick's happy hour.
That's what I was talking about, the Discord.
Yeah,
that's
so
that's where I am going to be using, like, that's my hub, and I know a lot of people are using it. Okay.
Yeah, and I know Armchair has a lot of ideas, Zach, about kind of bringing everything together. So we'll definitely work with him to kind of, because he started kind of putting all this together for us. So definitely let's get in Armchair's Discord, and we'll sort all of that out.
Yeah, he let me know about it. He basically told me like I got a place on the Armchair Sports Network, so I think we're gonna go through that quite
Absolutely.
a bit. So we just gonna do Light 'em Up basically the same way that we're doing it now. It's just over on Twitter Spaces instead.
Yeah, essentially.
Okay.
That's exactly how I'm doing my shows too.
Yeah, I was going to say we can't lose the Stone Sports half hour. That's the hardest I laughed most
absolutely
weeks.
not. Shout out John
Actually, I gotta set tweet reminders
new artwork for me and everything. So absolutely not. We have a new time though. It's going to be at 10 o'clock on Tuesdays.
10 o'clock, okay. Yeah, it must be the money ain't going anywhere. We're going over there.
Absolutely.
I think we're going the same time. Go ahead.
When are you going to Twitter Spaces? Must be the money.
Probably tomorrow if we can. Like, what are you doing? Happy hour tomorrow?
Yeah, I probably will.
I was gonna say, Pat, you can't take a day off after Easy Money. Now he just spent all this time talking about how you don't take a day off for like 7 months straight. Dude never sleeps. Like Patrick, I'm sure, like 4 or 5 in the morning. If I get up and have to pee, I'm half convinced. Like, okay, Patrick's probably casting something right now. I'm shocked.
Live casting your piss. Live.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah, that was really nice of you, but I'm really disappointed in where this company's going. I completely understand why people would leave.
No, I think the most important thing right now is that we all just kind of stick together because I think we have a pretty good community right now, and I just don't want it to be splintered. I hope that we all go over to Twitter Spaces, like I said, half jokingly, like to the moon. I think there's a lot of places that we can take this. I think Twitter with the ability to share everything there, and like I said, I have friends that want to join, but they have Androids, so they never were able to do that. Now they finally have a platform, and I think that's just going to make the app even better, and I think we have a lot more room to grow on Twitter Spaces than what we have here, and I think it was obviously time to go.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Zach, I want to ask you a question while we're still on Colorcast. In our current run of Light 'em Up, whether it's you debating, listening, what are some of your favorite moments you had? Because I know I have my favorite moment involving you. But
I already know what your favorite is involving me. It's probably the greatest moment in the history of Light 'em Up. We already know what that is. The Star Spangled fucking awesome.
Fucking great.
Yeah. I think my favorite debate I was ever in personally was the one with Patrick about JB Bickerstaff, and he's like, Monty fucking Williams. Like,
oh yes.
Anytime gets worked up, it's great, huh?
Man,
coming out of retirement next week.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're finally getting back in the debate chair. It's about time. Like I'm tired of having to start the show every week. My back hurts from carrying the show.
Yeah, so we got Nelly coming back. I think Lily says she's coming back out of retirement. Yeah.
I iron out some licensing deals.
It's interesting to Bully. She's like, I want to come back and debate. And she's like, okay, who do you want to debate? She's like, Zach. She's like, Wolmer. And then it's like, okay, who do you want to debate next? And it's like, Zach. And then she's like, Zach. So she's coming for, like, the best people. So, like,
I know. I saw she called me out. I'm like, I've always wanted to debate you. Let's go. Like, bring all the smoke. Bring everybody at me. I don't care. Yeah, Spencer, come back. 1-0, man. You got to keep it rolling. I appreciate y'all. And let's keep this going over on Twitter, all right?
Appreciate it, Zach. All right, let's bring in Wolmer.
Easy Money Matty wants the mic as well.
Okay.
He has some dissenting opinions.
I'd love to hear it.
Okay, well, hold on a second here. He hasn't sent in a request yet. So I got Wolmer and Cap in here. So I'm bringing in Cap for 5 minutes. Put him on the mic. Ooh, my Twitter is blowing up. So I got like a 19-tweet Twitter thread, kind of expressing my thoughts on top of whatever in the letter. So
my favorite Twitter threads is like just unhinged first one. Like, let me tell you why Monsters Inc. is communist, and it's like 30 threads. Like, relax.
What's going on, Wolmer?
Not much, and you know what? I feel like this was a long time coming. I'm very happy to see that we are repurposing the show, and hopefully, with all the stuff we're putting into place, that we're going to get the most viewers ever, just to increase this show, because this is absolutely a phenomenal platform for everybody. We have some great hosts, some great debaters, including me. This is going to be a really fun experiment, and I know that you and I are working something that will grow the show to even further.
Yes.
Than we've ever seen before, but that's still to come.
Yep.
Let me interrupt for 5 seconds, Wilmer. That's a part of it for me, but like viewers, like we used to cast into them. Like Flem and I would cast for like 3 months and no one would listen. Like that's not even the big. It's like them giving up on it completely. Like I saw their dev updates and like the Wednesday chats, like, you know what I mean? Like, I understand viewers and stuff. That's a part of it, of course. But, like, then completely giving up on any content whatsoever, that's what did the nail in the coffin for me, personally. I can't speak for others, but, yeah.
No, you're good, dude. You're good. But I know that we had put a lot of acts into this app to try and make it better, to make the best app possible, and hopefully get it to our Android friends. Because, I mean, I know a ton of people that use an Android that would have loved to join this app. A lot of sports fans that never had the opportunity. So this is going to be a brand new opportunity. I can tell you. The moment we move over to Twitter, I'm going to share with my friends that we are over to Twitter, have them join the Discord, and we're going to get brand new debaters just like that. And
I
these guys
cannot
know
wait
their
for that.
stuff.
I cannot wait to book them.
These guys know their stuff.
All right, I'm looking forward to that.
I'm looking forward to booking those people.
Pat, we're going to be booked out to like December, brother.
We need a wait list.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and I'm glad that we are repurposing all of this, because this is going to be for the better. Absolutely will be.
Wilmer, favorite debate moment, whether you debating, listening, give us some of your past thoughts.
Oh, I think my favorite debater moment was when Lily cut me. I was like, I'm not done yet.
It's hard getting to Lily, dude. It's hard.
Yeah, that was a great debate moment. But yeah, looking forward to what's coming. I appreciate you guys bringing me on, and this is a long time coming, but I cannot wait for what's next for us. When we move over to Twitter Spaces next Sunday, when I'm finally back on the speaker panel for an RU.
All right, man. Well, if you don't have anything else, man, I'll go ahead and drop you, and then we'll bring somebody else on. But thanks for sharing your thoughts, Wilmer. And, of course, thank you for always coming on the show, man, and giving great debates.
Thank you for having me.
All right.
Appreciate everyone more.
All right. So we'll drop Wilmer. And my app is starting to freeze with all these likes and stuff. We're going out with a bang.
Color crash.
Color crash.
They fucking need to fix the bugs on this thing. Like, it's ridiculous.
All right, I'm bringing in Cap, and then I got WhoDat is up next after that. So I'll just give him a moment to join. What's going on, Cap? All right. What's going on, man? What's your thoughts?
It's a little bittersweet. I was supposed to be the last cast. I was supposed to be the last debate of the Colorcast era, but it's all good. We're gonna get that debate in there sooner or later. Definitely gonna be in there next week for the round them up. It's gonna be really dope. Can't wait for it.
Chose violence coming to Twitter Spaces.
Yeah, of course. You know, it's funny. Before I hopped on Colorcast, I had just gotten into Twitter Spaces and was listening on there and listening to their debates. And the only thing I could say that I like about this community more than the Twitter Space community, it's a lot more respect. We give each other a chance to talk and give our opinions without it being an argument, without it being a shouting match.
Right.
I've always enjoyed that here. We're going to have to, dibble and dabble with the Twitter Spaces community and, have to keep them in check, but it's going to be fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's a valid point. That's something we had to wrestle with when we first got started on here. We used to have guys come on here to hit on Lily when she would debate. We used to have people that would shout and scream that, no longer participate on this show. So I think what's great now versus what we had when we first got started is that we now have, we've had over 50 plus people be on this show. So those folks, hopefully most of them will come to us on Twitter Spaces and will help us with policing the audience, you can report people as spam, and I can ban them, or whoever hosting can ban them from the space. So, we have tools at our disposal to police our audience and make sure that we provide a great experience for everyone, casters and listeners alike. But no, that's a great call out, Cap.
Yeah, but it's gonna be a little bittersweet to leave the Colorcast community. It was a little bit. It was always good to come on Colorcast and get away from the real world at times and just be able to talk sports and just have good times, like on the happy hour and the half ounce. Like, it was really dope. Love Light 'em Up. Enjoyed just coming on here and just listening to guys debate. Not even like this week was going to be my first debate of the season. Like, I've just been listening for the last couple of weeks, just enjoy being a fan again. And just watching you guys go to war. It was really fun.
Yeah, it's like the most polite, sophisticated war possible we hear on Light 'em Up. So
absolutely.
Yeah. All right, any other thoughts, brother?
Hey, Cap, long-time listener, first-time caller. Can we admit now that we're past it and we're off Colorcast, what's the best Rocky movie? Don't fucking bullshit me, Cap.
The best Rocky movie is...
Don't fucking lie to me.
I mean, like when it comes to like full enjoyment,
Stop.
I always enjoyed
What's the best
Rocky. I've always enjoyed Rocky too. I'm not even gonna hold you, but like Rocky 3 is definitely the most over the top fun movie out of all of them, in my opinion.
Rocky 2 being the movie for that.
Hey, yo, that is hilarious. Or maybe that just shows you how good of a debater I am. Hey, Nelly, I just feel that you won the debate when it came to Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell, but I was right when it all came down to it because there was no way we're going to keep Rudy Gobert and build around him, even though Donovan Mitchell was like on his way out.
I'm not naming names. What I would do is not what he would do. But I'd like the move in getting the picks. I think it was a great move. I honestly love the trade for the Timberwolves. I haven't been on you in a hot sec, but I absolutely love that trade. I think they're going to be.
Yeah, it was a good move by them. Like they're using a lot from the Cavaliers playbook. You know, they seen the success that we had with two big men. They was like, you know, we're going to try to do that as well with two $200 million big men. So we'll see how the Timberwolves fend for themselves come next year.
On the Twitter Spaces reboot of Light 'Em Up, is there anyone that you haven't faced yet that you want to face? Keeping your eye on.
I already made the call out to Walmer, so we're gonna try to get that down the line.
That's an interesting crossover.
You really want smoke, but just know when there's smoke, there's fire.
Nah, no doubt.
I mean, Cap hosts a show called Choose Violence, so I don't think he's worried about any smoke.
I remember the first time I tuned into that, it was like, because I'm on West Coast, I was like Saturday, like 8 in the morning. Like, who the fuck is Choose Violence? It was just great. I'm like, yeah, I'm just doing it all the time. It's great. Yeah, man, so it's always interesting. Rocky 4 is the best. Rocky 1 is also great, and Rocky 2 sucks.
Oh, that'll be okay. Walmer talking about Hell in a Cell. I love it.
Hell in a Cell. Oh, man.
All
I
right.
doubt we're going to be able to reach your recording for this one. Because they're going to fuck up and give us like 5 minutes of this recording.
And you know what? Honestly, I'm willing to. It'll be addition by subtraction. I lose a podcast episode. Our show blows up in terms of listeners in the long run. I'm not worried about it.
Podcast episode. What podcast?
So, Light 'Em Up is available on all podcasting platforms.
Signature move.
Light 'Em Up is available.
Dummy corporations in the Bahamas, and then just like they can sponsor the show. Brought to you by Nelly Corp.
Oh man, but no, Light 'Em Up is available on all major podcast platforms, as well as YouTube. I've linked to our page. It's pod page, so podpage.com/lightemup with hyphens in between each word. And on that page, you can see everything regarding our. You can see everything, all of our episodes, follow links. There's caster profiles. So anybody that has appeared on Light 'Em Up, you can go to Light 'Em Up. Go to our pod page podpage.com/lightemup/guests. And I think if you type in like Blake29, you can see every episode that Blake's been on, a profile on him. You get to see his handsome face and a quick little bio about him. So I put a lot of time into that website, so a lot of people to explore it, learn more about what we do here. So check us out.
Also, please join the Discord. That's where we're gonna kind of be making a lot more plans and stuff. We're set up debates. If it sounds interesting, if you've never tuned in or debated, stop by. We love to have new people on.
For sure. All right. All right. So we got the last person is WhoDat, and I think we'll probably end it there. I think Mibbs wanted to see if we were actually going to have a cool down here. I don't think.
Maddie wanted on as well too.
Okay.
He's requested the mic.
All right. So I'll bring on WhoDat. Please request the mic with next to request, and then we'll be done after that. So I'm bringing on WhoDat.
Gonna be like a ghost on.
Yeah, Natty, I'm sorry, brother. I don't know why I don't see your request, but I'll get you next. I promise. Sorry about that.
What's up, guys? What's going on, man?
What's going on? How we doing?
Oh man, listen. This caught me off guard, man. I'm so excited coming into the season. It's like, wait a minute, hold on. David just hit me with a fastball real quick. This is the last episode. What the hell happened? So
recipe's still the same. We're just cooking in a different kitchen. That's all.
Right.
The food is gonna taste the same.
Woman, I saw your DM. I'm working on that now.
Honestly, guys, I was like, as coming on, meeting David, talking to Pat, Tristan, I was like, you guys, like, honestly though, you guys welcome me in as a family. Like, I felt like I was like the black fucking sheep on this cast, I was like, damn, like, I'm trying to be more open, but I felt like I can't, and it's like, but you guys welcome me in with open arms, and it's like, damn, like, I don't know what to expect, to see how it is, but things come and go. It's what it is. This is how my here. It is what it is. You just don't keep it moving, keep it strong. Like I got on Light him up Discord. I'm gonna be more with the debates also. So, and then also I've been
Okay.
branching out, doing a lot of stuff also, just doing my own podcast, but I'm also in the works of creating my own sports center on YouTube. And I just got my LLC,
Oh,
which
congrats,
is
brother.
nice to me
Plug
to
it.
have my own media
Plug it.
production company.
What's the name?
So definitely, if anybody wants to come on, they want to come on, give it a try, give it a trial. I will be doing this year. I'm going to be working from the inside of doing my own media production, hiring the whole team of podcasters, YouTubers, everything. But I'm not focused on. I'm just focused on starting my own sports show. Mivs, Stone, Armchair, Cat, David. If you guys want to be a guest on there, you are more than welcome. I'm just trying to get everything into a prospect because it took me a lot of work dealing with a lot of mental health. That's why I took a step back from Colorcast for a good while and moving my show from Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday to now doing it to Thursday, Friday, doing a little something on Saturday, doing the games on Sunday, checking everybody out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, so it was kind of a transition change for me being on here and branching out, like just doing different other things and, now being more active as a debater, just trying to find my footing in, because I ain't gonna lie, honestly, I was surprised that me and Zach ended up in the tie, because Zach roasted the hell out of me, and I'm like, damn, okay, bro, slow down, like, calm down, okay, we get it, Deshone Kizer, it sucks. We know. We get it. So, but like I told him, like, you guys give me the firepower to become a better sportscaster. And I'm in
Oh,
school still currently to, becoming a sports broadcaster to really work for Fox Sports and Sports Center and ESPN. But I know the thanks that I'm going to give. And as a humble person coming from a humble family, I'm going to give the thanks to not just Colorcast, but to David, to Pat, to Mibs, to Zach, to
thank you, man.
everybody, to
Appreciate it.
Money, to Mel, anybody, especially Lily, man. I've talked to Lily off and on outside of here because from that situation that happened when the playoffs kicked off and somebody came on her cast talking reckless, I'm like, say, bro, we don't do that here. Like, I'm going to need you to really chill on that before it really be a problem. And if it be a problem, I'm going to deal with that problem. And we don't want to deal with that on here while people are trying to enjoy themselves. It's amount of respect that goes in here. It's a lot of hard work that goes in here. And if you think you're gonna talk to somebody reckless on their channel, you got me fucked up. Sorry. I'm like honestly, my whole New Orleanian just came out of me like, nah, bro, we not having that. We not no. It's a amount of respect that goes here. So the same way you respect this person for allowing her to come on for her allowing you to come on her show, you're gonna get that same respect back. And that's why I go so hard for you guys. Like, you guys, like, honestly, I want you to understand, like, y'all welcome me in as family. I really didn't know. I knew everything about, like, sports and everything, NFL, college, but I didn't know as of commentating and broadcasting and podcast. You guys taught me this. And I got to give you guys thanks. I'm going to give all y'all flowers, man. I
Appreciate
just
it,
want to
man.
say thank
Thanks,
y'all.
man.
Just
Thank you.
thank y'all, man.
Thanks for coming on, man.
My goodness.
Hopefully we'll see more on Twitter.
I
And
wasn't
I
expecting to
think
get that emotional.
no, that was great, man. But as he mentioned, I think David, you mentioned it earlier too. That's like the biggest reason I like this app is like I got along with so many people and we kind of did police ourselves and like it'd get like heated at times, but it wouldn't get toxic. To me, like that's
Right.
argument and debate. It's fine if as long as it stays within the confines of like that sort of format. The one thing is on Twitter is like we all know how fucking Twitter is. But like we all go over there, right? We can, like you said, police ourselves, set the tone how that would be.
That's why
we can make our own little
mass
space.
exodus is the best way to do this, because
I
we're going to
agree.
just basically take this community, which we already know is great, and move it to a different place.
Bringing on Easy Money Natty now. So put him on the mic, 5 minutes. And then I see I'm going to do one more after this. I'll bring in Prince, and then I think we'll call it there.
Big changes.
All right, guys. So what do y'all want to know?
Lay it on us, brother. We ain't gonna go for it.
Yeah. So here's the deal. So I saw in the chat someone said I was dissenting, right? Absolutely, the antithesis of that, right? I'm not dissenting. I agree with you guys. What I want y'all to understand is that y'all are third, possibly the fourth wave on Colorcast, right? Let me preface that by saying I do not speak for Joe. So we were the Joe and Matt show, and now we're Hungry Takes, and I do not speak for Joe, okay? But y'all are the fourth wave, probably. We were the original casters on the app. We once had a strategy meeting with them when there was only like 3 or 4 casters, period, right? We were the first to be a co-caster. We were the first to plan our content. We were the first to bring on guests. We were the first to do it all, right?
Right.
And as these waves came through, we were the first to have double-digit listeners, right? And as these waves came through, we got kind of pushed to the side because we weren't still in college, right? Because they brought all these college kids on and they have fraternities and sororities, but we don't have that, right? So what I'm saying is your disrespect that you're feeling is exceptionally justified, right? But understand your place in this, right? So we've been feeling, or I, not Joe, I've been feeling disrespected for a long time because we have spent so much time. And when you say, oh my gosh, someone's a GOAT, they've spent so much time planning. There were days, Mondays, Thursdays, and Sundays where me and Joe spent 8 hours calling games, right? And we've been doing that for 2.5 years now, okay? We have never missed a weekly show. So what I'm saying is, I think everything y'all are saying is spot on. I think y'all need to understand how deep the disrespect runs. It doesn't start with you guys because y'all are one of the later waves. The problem is, in my opinion,
why? Sorry to cut you off,
Colorcast.
but then why aren't you going to do something about it then? Like that's what we're saying because we've been disrespected by this company
Live
for
with
months
David,
now. And
so Live with David said when he started that he's a business guy, right? So I talked to Joe about 1.5 years ago, and I saw the shift in strategy. I was like, Joe, here's what's going on. They've gone for numbers instead of quality content, right? So me and Joe went off platform because my biggest problem was there was no place to warehouse all of this content so that influencers, sponsors could get in touch with us. So me and Joe made a strategic shift in our business, in our podcast, to go off platform, which I hope you guys had been doing for 1 year plus, right? So I agree with you. Like, this is not a shock to me what y'all are doing because I saw this 1.5 years down the road, like in the past. And
So you
when,
actually agree with us?
yes, I completely agree with y'all. But what I'm saying is it's not a shock. When Joe came to me about 8 months ago, maybe 1 year, I don't know, and said they were moving to sports betting, I realized what it was is they hadn't found a way to monetize Colorcast in order to deliver a profit or some kind of dividend to their investors, right?
Exactly.
I've been trying to do that.
Exactly. Yeah. So first off, thanks for that, Matt, and I certainly tip my cap to you and Joe for you guys being one of the OGs on here. I want to be clear with that, and going back to the business aspect of it. I get it. They're pre-revenue. They got to find a way to turn things around. They're going after numbers. The problem is, and maybe Evan is going to get around to this at some point, but there's no clear insight to their go-to-market strategy about Colorcast anymore.
Let me speak on that, right? Because here's the deal. You say that you know business. I really know business, right? And I applaud everyone for what they do, and I can't agree enough with y'all. I'm 100% on board with everything you're saying.
Yep.
Understand what you're saying, though. This is a startup app that's privately held.
Yeah.
They have no responsibility to you.
For sure.
No responsibility to shareholders, right?
For sure.
If they need to change direction, then they can do that. It's kind of like investing in penny stocks, right? That's the risk that you deal with. And that's why I'm saying it's been so important to transition your content to off platform, because at the end of the day, you're running with a startup. They could close the doors tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
And so, that's my thought, is just understand, like, I feel let down more than anybody, but understand it is a startup and it always had the potential to go under. Me personally,
absolutely,
I think it's lasted longer than I ever thought possible. And it's a shame that it's gone to waste.
Thank you for that, Maddie.
Thanks for coming and clarifying too, because I interpreted your message completely differently. When I I am not demeaning anyone else on here that's been on here. What I'm saying about Pat specifically is that dude has busted his ass day in and day out. And some people got check marks that didn't exactly deserve them, right? And this dude just busted his ass. That's all I was saying. I didn't mean to take away from anybody.
And thank you, I appreciate that. And you know what? Like when this, like Evan was like, "Oh, I'll give you one. Oh, I'll give you one. Oh, sorry. You know what? We're gonna make it 3,000 followers, but we'll send you a hat
Yeah.
in the mail. Hope we're cool."
But thank.
Light 'em up.